youth leadership in 10th grade. And she's a member of National Honor Society. And in a very endearing moment when talking about all of her academic accolades, she credits most of it to her parents instilling a love of learning in her. So kudos. Her leadership runs the gamut. She's the president of Interact Club, newspaper club. She's the co-captain of varsity soccer. She's involved in Key Club. She's a class officer. But in speaking with Nicole, what she really wanted us to focus on or know about, or what she's most proud of, is her involvement with her Latino roots and her community. And she has done this in so many ways throughout the course of her career. She worked with Bridget Fleming as their only bilingual intern, helping with voter registration and literally making thousands of phone calls to increase voter turnout among the Latino community. She also worked as a legal intern with Long Island Immigration Legal Services, doing literal translation for them, but also translating for families with very complex systems, being the liaison for things, small things like family court, DACA, the Asylum Act. So really meaningful work that she was doing to include our families and be the liaison for them. She attended, last year you heard from her when she attended the Angelo Del Toro Mock Assembly. She is also one of our most involved bilingual peer tutors. And she did let me know she is the first generation in her family to be going to college. And when we announced Nicole was the valedictorian, her whole family burst into tears, even her brother, even the ladies in the main office were a mess. And these were truly tears of joy because I can say unequivocally, Nicole has worked so hard for this and deserves it. So I know her family will be so proud when she is attending Yale in the fall to study ethics, politics, and economics.
Nicole, where are you headed? What school?
Yale.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yale.
Oh,
Nicole, don't forget. Yes.
Yeah.
We're very proud of you.
Let's do one picture.
You guys want a picture of Mom?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yes. It's a family award.
Yes.
For sure.
Yes, you guys get in a minute. Come on up, please.
Awesome.
Just one more, I'm sorry.
You know how to use your phone?
No.
Nice. Nice. Okay. Good.
Congratulations.
So I am going this way, okay. I am also so proud to announce our salutatorian, Mr. Aryan Chug, for the class of 2023. And looking at his parents, I am reminded of the first time I met Aryan when when Amin, his younger brother, had Brian, Mr. Smith, for science. And I was pregnant at the time, and Mrs. Shug found out somehow that I love Indian food, probably because Brian shamelessly told her that I love Indian food. And literally the next day, Aryan showed up at my door with the most amazing homemade dinner, courtesy of Mom, who's an amazing cook, naan and all. And I tell this story because knowing Aryan today, he is a beautiful combination of his mother's outgoing nature and his dad's incredible focus and work ethic. So we've had the privilege of seeing all of this come together during his high school experience. So he currently holds a 103.52 GPA. And the first thing that comes to mind when I think of Aryan is that He literally does everything. No joke, I was here last Saturday, happened to be stopping by. He was also here stopping by to grab something. So he is a talented saxophone player, a member of the Music Honor Society, the Student Association Vice President. He just participated in the Leadership Conference in Niagara Falls last weekend. He's a member of the Quiz Bowl team. And if you haven't heard, our mock trial team is doing outstanding. Arian is also a member of the mock trial team. I think a lot of their success may be due to his leadership. He's on varsity football. He has earned an AP, or will earn, I'd imagine, an AP capstone diploma. He earned a Long Island Science Congress Award and a gold award here with us, both in Latin and geometry, among other awards. What does stand out to me about Arian is that he is one speed wide open. He does everything full throttle to the nth degree. For instance, with his methods and research course, he did research on a therapeutic drug for pancreatic cancer. He worked with a PhD mentor, and he took it all the way to the level of submitting a paper for Regeneron, which, if you know that process, is a huge feat and accomplishment in itself. He also tackled the topic which is near and dear to our hearts here on the East End. That is the commute and how that affects teachers and teacher attrition and their mental health. That culminated in his LTV internship project, where he worked with Bridget Fleming on passing the Affordable Housing Act, which was passed in November. And I can say without hesitation, I'm sure Arian had a hand in that. In his spare time, when he's not finding a cure for cancer, he is an EMT in East Hampton Village. He trained for this for a long time and became an official member as of January. He is still deciding where he will attend college in the fall, but wherever he does land, they should consider themselves very lucky to have such a quality person on their campus. So we couldn't be more proud of you. I think we're just waiting on a few parents for our presentation, right? Yeah, no worries.
We can.
We may text and see their ATs.
So just a few minutes and then we'll
Yeah.
be
Just
ready.
let us know when you're ready.
We'll just, you know what, if we, why don't we just.
Wanna start
do
budget?
budget or news of the school, whatever you guys want.
Yeah, here's the school.
Why not? Keep it positive.
Karen? News of the school.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'll start by recognizing our fourth grade students who have completed, 2 weeks ago, they completed their annual Longhouse projects. A component of the fourth grade social studies framework is learning about Native Americans in New York. And our fourth graders learned about longhouses and how our Native Americans typically lived with their extended families in their longhouses, and each student created their own out of natural materials, and they're currently on display in the lobby if you'd like to stop by and see them.
They're very impressive.
Yeah, they're pretty amazing. And additionally, we are working with the Historical Society and putting together an exhibit at the Clinton Academy, and as soon as I have the dates for that exhibit, I will certainly share them with you as well. I'd like to take a minute and just thank Erica Saniola. Erica is one of our second grade teachers, and she works on our Instagram page. And the past 2 weeks have been so chock full of events at John Marshall, and she really does an excellent job of capturing what's happening at John Marshall. So I'd like to just take that quick opportunity to thank Erica. Also a reminder that we have parent-teacher conferences Wednesday and Thursday of this week, early dismissal at 12:30. And lastly, I can't believe pre-K registration is around the corner. So that will be advertised in the local paper, but it is April 17th and 18th. And registration is by appointment only. You have to, make an appointment with Miss Amanda Hayes in registration. But that we are already preparing for next year and registering our pre-K. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. First, I'd like to thank Mr. Fine for taking the trip up last week for my my award. It was really touching. He was one of the only superintendents in the state who was there, so it meant a lot. Thank you for your support, and I love being here. Thank you.
Yes, congratulations.
Spring sports are off to a great start. Thank God the weather is holding out. A little chilly out there. Sorry about my wind-blown hair. And congratulations to our East Hampton Hurricane swim team with back-to-back New York State championships. They're made up of current and future bonkers who will be swimming for us. So it's a great future and present that we have. Games begin this week, so if you're around, we'd love to see you on the field. And thank you so much from the bottom of my heart and everyone else's for Unified Bowling. It has really been absolutely amazing. If you have a chance and you want to take a ride to Riverhead, I know everybody likes to do a little shopping. Next Tuesday, we play at 5 o'clock at All Star. So it's been absolutely amazing. And, kids have been transitioning from now playing spring sports. So a couple different kids came on. So it has been great with the partners and with our players. So thank you again.
The turnout was good for all the sports?
Turnout was great.
Was there too many in some areas where you?
There was a couple in too many areas, and we've had to cut in a couple of sports. But they're all
Flag football
sports
got started good?
Flag football got started good. Actually, we had an alumni come by today who was a member of the U.S. flag football team, and it was absolutely awesome. So Crystal came and talked to the girls, showed them a couple of things. She was wearing a brand new Bonica sweatshirt. So it was, it's a great experience for the girls to listen to her. And she is a trailblazer who helped us be able to get this, and it's special thanks also to the New York Jets who have funded everything for us. They sent us the uniforms for the kids, the flags, they've sent us footballs, they sent us markings for the fields, they sent us everything. So it's been great.
Thanks to the Jets, and
Yeah.
hopefully as a Jet fan, they have more success than the Jets, which I think will be pretty easy
I
to
think
do.
you're gonna have more, as a Giant fan, but I'm still thankful that the Jets are with us.
Yes.
Is this gonna be a varsity team or?
Just the varsity team this year,
Uh-huh.
and then we're gonna look to where, there's already talk about expansion in the next couple of years.
And,
It's really taking off.
how many other schools are gonna have that?
So it started off with 8 schools within Suffolk County. Right now it is up to 28.
Uh-huh.
Don't mark me on that, but it's close to 28 teams.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, and you have.
So in order to
some-
play a schedule, we won't have to do a lot of traveling?
No, we're gonna have to travel because there's only
I mean, we
28.
always travel.
We don't travel much,
Just a little bit.
You got to think I have a new transportation director behind me, so she's gonna get my buses. Hey, Finn, I'll travel. Anything else?
Thank you
Thanks,
very much.
guys.
Good news at schools, or?
Sure. You don't have enough time. Why not?
All the sign, they want to see the budget. I know these kids. They want to see, this is exciting stuff.
They would much rather talk budget than
Yes,
finance, right, guys? So we did have a huge week. We had incredibly successful, finally, student association trip to Niagara Falls. We had 13 students go up, and they participated in workshops and guest speakers and exchanged ideas. So they are coming back with a ton of ideas that they want to implement and get started here. So it was a wonderful, albeit exhausting, experience, and we did make it home. The flight home was, a little dicey given the weather, but it all worked out. And we have mock trial doing incredibly well. They're competing tomorrow night in Islip against Northport. So glad you're here. Okay. So we're very hopeful for tomorrow night, and then they'll continue to move on. Ultimately, hopefully, maybe make it to Albany to the state final. So fingers crossed. but they're doing so well given the fact that it's just the second year that we've had a team. And also, just a reminder that we did make that an official club and class last year. So clearly we're seeing the fruits of that labor. And we also have, it's March Madness week. So we have huge events going on Thursday night. And we've added a dance this year. So that will, I know. Again, I don't know who approved that, but so we'll be here Friday night, but it's a wonderful week. We're having baking competitions and quiz bowl and all sorts of things going on. So a big week. Yeah, thank you.
And just to add, and I mentioned this earlier to the board, we're having another school district is coming out to look at our culinary program and very interested in what the district and board had created here. Well, obviously our program's in the infancy, but they felt interested enough to come out here and they're driving from the west. And we made it at a really inconvenient time for them, but we anticipate they'll be here by 9. So, but again, another testament to what's going on throughout
In the culinary program, and also adding potentially hospitality club next year. As we did today. Great, thank you.
Thank you. Budget? All right, so do we turn to Sam or?
Yeah, Sam, you want to kick us off?
Well, we have the department start first.
Okay.
I'll
Perfect. Which one want to start with?
Special education. It's Alan's time.
My budget, as you know, the codes were changed, so a little bit of it was shifted. But I have an increase specifically due to residential placement prices increasing for students and BOCES costs, and additional students going to BOCES programs that we cannot, provide an in-district appropriate program.
Anybody from the board have a specific question?
And I just, when you're placing a child in a residential placement and the CSE determines that the district has to bear the cost, no matter what. There's no opting out of that, correct?
Right, and it's a last resort. We exhaust everything in district before we ever even consider out of district. But the difficulty with residential placements are maintenance costs. So the residential placement might have a set cost, but the maintenance can go up and down, and it's not maintained. It's very inconsistent. So one month it can be high, and then another month it can be lower. And you kind of throw something out there as a guess based on the average.
Anybody from the board have a question or anything?
It's basically the same budget as last year, except with the variation being what you're discussing.
Yeah.
And other number of students.
We have additional students
Fairly
who,
steady.
to be placed in BOCES. We've had some registered late in the year now that we're working on that we estimate who are significantly impaired. I wish we had a program in district for them, but they're medically fragile. So
That's what's best for them.
yeah, it's what's best for them. And BOCES does things, in terms of the staff to student ratio that we just don't do in district. We can't.
Thank you.
I think we'll do E&L because I'm sure the other two will probably have more questions. So E&L, I believe, Sam, we did some adjustment, obviously, with Tiffany's budget.
Right, so
with grant stuff.
I just want to point out to the board, so we are going to make use of our grant, our federal grant, which is a non-competitive grant. We are going to get this money. The application period is later on in the year, but we shifted a number of expenses that were formerly budgeted in the general fund to the grant in order to help get the general fund to where it has to be. So if you look at the front page there, Tiffany's going to be presenting you ultimately what the expenses are at plus what's offset with a portion of federal grant that's new to funding for this. It doesn't necessarily mean that there's other federal grant expenses, but this is what we're able to offset off the general fund in order to help control the general fund.
Is that a multi-year grant or a one-year grant?
It's an annual grant, but it's non-competitive. We know it's coming. We just have to file the paperwork with this.
So in other words, there's no reason, is there a scenario under which we don't get that amount and that becomes a hole in the budget and we have to find that elsewhere again? It's another year or two?
If the state had a fiscal crisis, that could happen. If we had a reduction in the number of students who fall under Tiffany's program, that could happen. I don't foresee either of those things happening immediately, but you never know.
Did we get it this year?
Yes.
This year, we've got it every year. That's why we feel confident relying on it in order to help balance.
Why in past years did we not do it this way?
Let's speak to what happened the past years. I would say that I think there were some expenses that may have been allocated for twice. That, we thought about it in the general fund budget, but it was also the vision of it ended up being a federal expense. When you shift off the federal fund, it creates fund balance in the general fund. Fortunately, we just don't have that luxury this year to be able to do that. So
Got it.
I think we have a reasonable plan here. Tiffany controls her costs very well. The students are served very well. So if the whole grant system collapsed and we had to make up the $20,000, $22,000, I feel confident to fund that, but
Thank you, Sam. Hi, everyone. So for the E&L department, their overall total is consistent with the proposed budget that we adopted last year for this current school year. Our E&L student population has remained very consistent from last year. As of today, we have 414 Ls currently district-wide, and last year on this very date, we had 415. So we are right there. So we're seeing that consistency this year, and we'll go forward with that planning for next year. On pages 1 and 2, with the breakdown of the costs, there are some fluctuations in the codes in terms of where certain expenses were shifted between codes, and there was also condensing and simplification of the codes to reflect each building versus the district-wide. So that's where you see some of those shifts in the amounts and the increase percent change.
What are the questions? If we
These are
have
all
them and
just-
answered.
Yeah, they're all
it's-
just standard things that we
Yeah.
see every year.
Tiffany's program is staff. I mean, staff is where the money is. And obviously, we need the staff.
Yeah,
Okay,
and if you look at the total numbers here, we're not talking, there's not a lot to, in
Right.
the big picture, there's not a good place to go. So, thank you.
Doc.
not
There's
the
always more
It's not
questions
the
for
order.
athletics.
The puppy legs.
So I'm presenting the IT budget, Chuck Westergaard. And we worked with the administration to trim things down as best we could for this year. We made some pretty significant cuts in our hardware budget. But we made up for that through ECF funding, emergency connectivity funding that we got, and also E-rate funding. We purchased a significant amount of hardware this year and into the July timeframe, where we get 70% back. So this doesn't impact us tremendously for this year as far as our cuts in hardware. But the overall, we also took on all the software for the different departments, or the majority of the software, not everything. Certain things are better off where they're at through the grant, or they're already in a certain spot. We left it there, but for the most part, we have like 45 different packages that we're going to be acquiring just for this budget, which will help us keep that. Even though we paddled it into this one budget, we actually our budget number went down. So so that was a good process, and the rest is just our general contractual things or any tremendous changes. Where I expect some additional expense next year for some of the security software, but this year we're already paid up. So,
Anybody from the board have a question? Okay.
so you have everything you need and the Chromebooks are going well and students and things like that.
we have enough Chromebooks to do our regular rollout. If we find money.
You can always use
Yeah, always
more
use
books.
Find a good spot for that, but right now, we have enough to start September in good shape with this budget.
And are you still
So-
finding that when you're getting them back from seniors, they're basically unusable anymore?
Well, the thing is even if they're usable, and sometimes we do use them for loaners and things like that. But all the ones that we're getting back this year from students, they're end of life. They won't update from Google Chrome anymore. So the only way to continue to use them is to get rid of that license and buy another license and install different software on it. And at that point, it's not cost effective. So at that point, the devices that will be cycling out will be 5 years old. So all those 5-year-old devices are past the point where they can receive security updates in Google Chrome. So we're just simply going to take them out of our fleet. And you know, we may have to keep some of them for like certain situations and purposes, but you know, for the most part, we try to keep everything up to the current you know, patch level, and all the current drivers, and everything has to be at, you know, a certain level, so we're not running a risk of having security breaches by having them on our network.
Anybody else have a question?
Chuck, thanks. One of the big things, Chuck took on all the district software, and I know we mentioned it, but it's a lot. It's a big undertaking because it was all spread out. Having it consolidated under Chuck is great, and we also scrutinized Chuck's budget, not because it was badly budgeted, but he made some sacrifices this year that we thought we were able to do and get us through the year. And I know we've made him really neurotic over the past month, and I apologize, but he's done a tremendous job with his budget, and his supervision of the department is unquestionable.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chuck.
Thanks, Chuck.
You can go on.
Yeah, go.
You can do them. They're more important than I.
No, go ahead. Kathy Masterson.
We can get another chair. Hi, guys. Thank you. So our proposed budget to budget is down 9.90%. Our physical education and health is up 29%. Don't let that alarm you. It is only $6,922. That is to start replacing backboards, the old wood backboards that we have at the gymnasiums. We're going to start phasing them out and getting new ones. And it is also for the addition of new portable volleyball standards for physical education classes. If you go through the pages, on the next pages down, you will see that our programs will remain flat, dance remains flat, all our classroom supplies for the elementary, middle school, and high school also will remain flat, so our students will not miss out on anything. When you get to the interscholastic, we are having an additional, we're trying to get a mat for our cheerleaders and phase that in so that our cheerleading team has their own personal mats, which is a wonderful thing for our program. One of the things that you will look at in interscholastic athletics that I'd like to bring to light is something that has been on there before. It is a Huddle subscription. What Huddle is, it's a program that breaks down film for all of our coaches. And for that price, we get it for the entire athletic department. So it will take practices and or games that are filmed that can break down to help our student athletes become better. Section 11 NISRA fees have not gone up in 10 years. They're going up 1%. So you see that change, and you'll see the Section 11 conference and officials fees will go up 2% this year. And we also have a little addition because of the addition of flag football and unified bowling. So our budget went up $17,895, an 11.93% increase in that stuff. But we have also made sure that we have taken care of other things. We have trimmed we're in the process of going through and trimming the budgets we've had for our awards codes. We have an abundance of awards that we are streamlining right now and cleaning up. If you've ever had the pleasure of being downstairs in that cage, currently we are in the process, myself and the varsity coaches, of going through there, cleaning it up. We found a lot of additional stuff that we have, so that will offset the cost of things for next year. What questions do we have?
Just since I haven't had the opportunity yet to tell you my pet peeve, which is just from previous budget.
Yep.
Just the sports physicals.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which we discuss every year.
Okay. This is my first time today.
Okay, I'm just letting you
And
know
I'll
now.
explain, yep,
It just, it's really important that you point out and for parents to know that this is like a backstop. We don't need sports physicals. There was a time that notes went out to parents where parents thought, like, oh my God, I need to get a sports physical.
yes,
And therefore we have to pay for those. That is not the case.
no,
We
So
just think you just
physical,
need to get your physical
Yeah.
from your doctor. And if someone doesn't have a primary care physician, can't get it,
that's what we're here for.
then we're gonna help them out, because we always want our kids to participate, but.
Correct.
Parents used to be under the impression that they had to get both. So they
Okay.
had to go and get their physical for school from their doctor, and then they had to go get their physical.
No, I mean,
So our goal would be for you to
Right.
return as much of that money as possible.
Without a doubt.
And use it for something else.
With,
That's
and
all.
100%, so what I've sent out in parent squares and things of that nature is that we have a doctor available if you don't. A physical is an agreement that is a 1-year
Yeah.
appointment, so say, God forbid, that my physical came on March 17th. I'm eligible to play the entire softball season
Right.
because softball started on the 13th. That's how these physicals
Yeah.
work. And we have told them, go to your doctor. If you can't have a doctor or if you do not have healthcare, we do provide them here at the school. So Wendy and Barbara have been phenomenal,
Right.
our middle school and high school nurses on this. We didn't even have that many this year when we just had it this
That's awesome.
spring. I think we had
Success.
18. I'm not, I'll check with Wendy and get back to you on that, but I think we only had 18
That's true.
kids. Yeah, and it's been great, because the kids are coming in with it, but, and sending the parents where has been excellent for me to keep reminding them of that. And we won't let kids on fields if they don't have their physicals.
It was really just the lack of communication in prior years when the physicals were announced and we kept saying, please include this information, that you don't have to get it.
Yep.
So as long as the information goes out, like we used to spend
We
pretty
spent like
much double
50,
what you
yeah, we
have
used
in
to
your
spend
budget
like
now
$50,000-$60,000
Yeah.
on it.
On physical?
on physicals, because
Yeah.
everyone thought they had to get
Everyone
one.
had
Line down the hallway.
Yeah,
Line.
everyone thought that they had to get both,
Okay.
so.
Well,
yeah.
that will be made clear, especially, I mean, we didn't have that many this year, and
Yeah, so
I don't
they're
think Barbara
finally-
has a lot right now either. And I know that I'll make that clear with Wendy, and Wendy and I can sit and brainstorm on setting up another parent square to let people
That's
know
awesome.
before the end of the school year. And I'll push it out in physical education classes, because that's the time that every student has to see the physical education teacher.
Awesome, thank
It
you.
saves parents time also.
Yeah.
Without a doubt, because
Because they have
they're
to
getting
come in
them
again,
for their pediatricians anyway, so.
Right.
Good thing.
Okay,
Thank
great.
you very much.
So, obviously, we've spent the last few board meetings talking about the budget. The board was presented tonight with what's pretty much going to be the final draft of the budget. We are property tax compliant. We have brought the budget in to stay $1 or so under the property tax cap, so we are where we need to be. The board should be aware of several things, and I think it's important for the public to realize this as well. The property tax cap increase was $1.7 million. We had contractual and statutory obligations on us that far exceeded the $1.7 million that we were able to grow the levy by. So we had to be creative on how we were generating other sources of revenue to fund this budget. The health insurance increase alone, we saw information on that. The general liability and casualty insurance increases, the ERS contribution increases were all out of our control. Obviously, we have contractual obligations to our employees that are also not negotiable at this moment, all of which meant that that $1.7 million increase was used up very quickly before we even started figuring out exactly what we needed. So as we move into next year, and the board has a draft copy of the revenue budget in front of you, I want to be sure to point out that we're using sources of revenue next year that we haven't previously used. I'm talking about the debt service reserve fund, the workers' compensation reserve fund, and we are leaning more heavily on the retirement system reserve funds. These funds were funded by excess fund balance from previous years and put into dedicated savings accounts to offset costs in future budget years. This coming up is going to be one of those future budget years. We are also using $415,000 from the unappropriated fund balance. And again, to remind the board what we're doing there is we have a number of capital projects that date back at least 10 years that the money has just been sort of sitting in abeyance ever since. We're gonna close those projects, we're gonna liquidate that money, rolls back into the general fund from the capital fund, and then you're gonna use that as a revenue source for next year. Obviously, Adam and I have talked about what happens in future years, because if you're gonna continue to lean on your reserves, you have two choices. You either have to continue to fund the reserves, or you have to figure out how to wean yourself off the reserves. So we don't know what the future is gonna hold in terms of future budgets, but we were hit by 5 major factors this year: the health insurance, the general liability, the salary increases, the pension system costs, and the TAN, the tax anticipation of interest. All of that led to sort of a difficulty in our budget. So luckily, we have these reserves that were set up by prior boards and the commission public. May have been this board, you know, different boards, but prior years set up to be there when we need it. So you can see where the revenue is. Obviously, we're tracking the tuition from the sending districts very carefully, and we have been working with our partners in the districts to make sure we have an accurate projection about where we're going with that. So you can see that's essentially where the budget is.
Good.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Good.
Yeah, I think we're good.
Okay.
You're gonna be here in just 1 minute. I've been texting with them.
Okay,
Yeah. Yeah, they'll be here in a
We're
minute.
going-
Just wait.
we're waiting for,
One family, they'll be here. they'll be
one
here soon.
family, sorry.
Yeah, they'll
I
be,
saw 2 people
she
running.
said, at the light, minutes away. There you go.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, let's go there.
Want to start from the
They're there?
Yeah.
Let's see what we do here. We're probably. All right.
I just graduated another year.
Public comments?
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question? Sam, can I just ask a question? So on the pilots, with the town building all this new housing in our district, isn't that a number that'll go up at some point?
Possibly, we have essentially 3 sources of pilots right now.
Right.
We have pilots from the power company, the power authority.
Right.
We have pilots, and the 2 other pilots are from
Affordable housing.
housing situation. It depends what the situation, what deal the town makes with future developers. Obviously, we are the recipient of a portion of that.
And we have a fairly significant new community housing going up in the district off Greenwell Harbor.
Right,
So
but again,
theoretically, that would up our pilot now.
it's possible. It's not necessarily to our advantage to increase the pilot, because if you look at the minutia of how the property tax cap is calculated, you have to offset the pilot cost, the pilot source before you increase the allowable levy. So you grow the levy by whatever the allowable amount is, but the pilot levy is not included in that estimate. So as you improve, you're basically increasing the levy on a percentage of a lower number because you have to subtract that. So it doesn't necessarily.
And I just have one other question. CRS reserve and CRS reserve, is there a limit how much we can add?
CRS reserve, I think it's no more than 2% of your overall costs can be added per year. And I believe CRS reserve, sorry, I don't have a stat, but I think it's something like that. A reasonable amount. We're well within where we're at.
We're all here.
We're all here. Then we're gonna back up. So go ahead.
Perfect. So, our advanced methods in research, students did incredibly well at the Long Island Science and Engineering Fair under the direction of Dr. Rubito and Dr. Forsberg. So I will turn it over to Cooper Siva, Egan Barzilay, and Sky Kansman to talk about their experience.
Hello, my name is Cooper Siva. I'm a member of the East Hampton Methods and Research Program. We recently participated in a science fair called the Long Island Science and Engineering Fair. This science fair, it involves schools all throughout Long Island. There were over 1,000 people that were in the preliminary round of this science competition, and all 3 of us progressed to the second round of this competition, which consisted of only 99 students from Long Island. At this science fair, we were able to see a lot of different research from the students on Long Island and participate competitively with these students. My research I researched, growing up in Montauk, I've been very concerned with the marine environment, and I saw the issue of oil spills in our marine environment and marine environments around the world. And I researched a bacteria that's capable of degrading the hydrocarbons present in these marine oil spills. This bacteria helped to clean up the oil spills and to keep our environment clean in a natural way. So I'm going to hand it over to Ian to speak about his research and his experience a bit more.
Yeah, so Cooper kind of explained, but making round 2 of LICEF is a huge accomplishment in and of itself. I mean, competing with these massive schools from Elba Island, it's crazy. We're one of only 2 Eastern schools that actually make or send kids to round 2. The only other school was West Hampton Beach, who sent only 1 kid, so we sent 3. It's crazy. Last year, we sent 1 person who was, I think, one of the first people to ever actually make it to round 2. So clearly, Dr. Vito and Dr. Forsberg are taking steps in the right directions. In my research, I've always been fascinated with renewable energy and reducing carbon emission accumulation. So the current presidential administration has pledged a goal of 50% clean electricity by 2035. So in America, the leading renewable energy source is wind. And so wind farms have been shown to lose a 10 to 20% average power loss, which is a result of turbulence in the wakes of wind turbines. So I'm not going to bore you with specifics because it's very in-depth, but I essentially worked around the back end of a high resolution turbulent flow field prediction. So essentially creating high resolution data for wind farm developers to better ameliorate wind farms. And what my research did is specifically employed machine learning to do this. And I found an extremely accurate method in employing this machine learning algorithm with a 0.0002 decibel average power loss. And I reduced the computing cost associated with creating these high resolution turbulent flow fields by 88%. And this research actually earned me 2nd place, so just 1 place short of actually qualifying for the International Science and Engineering Fair. And I also got a certificate of achievement from the United States Air Force at LICEF. And I just wanted to take a second, thank you guys so much for putting all this money into this program, because the research program has taught me so much. Setting me up, Dr. Vito has taught us how to, speak to older people, get comfortable talking in front of people, and also, reaching out and being able to talk science, especially when you're just a little guy in a big pond. I mean, we, specifically for me, my mentor was up at Stony Brook, and I was involved in his PhD research group, so a bunch of PhD students, and I did not go to college for 8 years, so I do not know how to, but I mean, you learn, and it sets me up well for the next chapter of my life, and I'm really excited to, keep moving, and I can't thank Dr. Vito enough and Dr. Forsberg for what they've done, meeting with me over the summer to discuss getting prepared, getting all the supplies we need for our research in the fall. Dr. Forsberg getting all the printer and ink and paper to make these overkill posters, and giving us the ins of LICEF. She's judged for the LICEF competition, so she got us dialed in on how to present to these people, and clearly we all were able to get some awards. So I'm going to pass it off to Sky to talk about her experience and the symposium. Okay.
I'm Sky. My research focused on combating a prominent local ecological issue, which is eutrophication, which is when excess nutrients such as phosphorus and nitrogen enter a water body, and algal blooms result because of it. These algal blooms can create hypoxic and anoxic conditions, which can be detrimental to our local environment. So through an internship through the East Hampton Shellfish Hatchery and in partnership with South Fork Sea Farmers, I was under the direction of Dr. Bob Tiemann and John Barley Dunn. And with that, we were able to create an oyster reef in Acquabonic Harbor, which is what my research kind of focused on. It was a great experience, especially to have those local affiliations as my formal mentor is over in Denmark. So that was a really great opportunity to become immersed in the science community out here. I was awarded an honorable mention in the category of Earth and Environmental Sciences, and I received NOAA, or the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Association's Taking the Pulse of the Planet Award, which I'm pretty proud of, so yeah, it's pretty cool. Although awards are great, the biggest takeaway from LICEF for me, and I'm sure for Egan and Cooper as well, was kind of bringing Bonnick's name into the local science community. Basically, the science god out here is Dr. Gobler, who works at Stony Brook. And I spoke to judges, of course, to compete, but I also had a bunch of judges who weren't technically my judge come and talk to me because the research is so local and prominent, and because they all know Dr. Gobler. Dr. F actually worked with him in a lab, and he's just a super cool guy. His wife was there. It's just an incredible experience to see everyone together. Anyhow, long story short, a PhD candidate who's also from Stony Brook, which is where Dr. Gobler is affiliated, came up to me and was like, hey, your research is really cool. I'd love for you to do some research over the summer with us at Stony Brook, which is an amazing opportunity, and I'd love to hop on that myself. But if I'm too busy getting ready for college, it's an amazing opportunity to pass it on to an underclassmen science research student. So it's just LICEF, us being there, forming those connections, getting new potential mentors really is really just the best impact of LICEF. Along with that, methods like Egan and Cooper prepared me for the real world. My research kind of pushed me to present to the town board and town trustees and various environmental groups, such as the Aquaponics Protection Committee, to lobby for 2 more reefs to be constructed in a local harbor. And through that, I gained public speaking skills and kind of prepped me for college interviews, Life Beyond Bonnick. So I'm very grateful for the methods program for that, and it solidified my want to study environmental science in college. So pretty big influence on my life. Yet, Egan, Cooper, and I's projects are only a fraction of what our incredible methods program is doing. They're going to pass out some invitations to our science symposium, which is April 25th at 6 p.m. Super big deal, 43 students. Their names and titles are on the sheet that we're handing out, so you can see if anything particularly sparks your interest, but I can assure you everything is going to be fascinating that night. We're working really hard on it, so we would love you to be there. And if anyone is listening via the LTV setup we have, it is an open event, so members of the public are all welcome to join us then. So thank you all for your immense support. We couldn't do without you, and of course without Dr. Vito and Dr. Forsberg.
And we're really excited to see where this program is going. We're leaving next year, but this program is thriving. And I mean, from job offers for her, and also for me, one from SUNY Farming. It's really, really exciting, and we can't wait to watch from outside, see how far Dr. F and Dr. Vito take this.
I love your enthusiasm.
Yeah. So it's so great. And it's to say that it's so nice to do these presentations when we just, that coincide with our budget. I think we sit here and we do budgets and it's numbers. And then for the public to see, Ariane and Nicole and all of our science scholars, like they are here, and there's, another 100 kids, 200 kids in their graduating class, and throughout the high school, all the kids in the district. And that's really what this budget is about, is really like these kids and these programs and the teachers that teach them. So I think it's really appropriate, and it's so fun. I can't even tell you, it's so fun to see you all. Egan, you haven't been afraid to talk to adults since you were born. You might give Dr. Amino credit, but I think you said you're born.
You said older people.
But all of that aside, it's just really why all of us are here, and it's so exciting. And to all of your parents, really, you're so much part of this effort. We all were parents and grandparents too, and have not been in your seats, but it's really a pleasure to be here and to see all of your success. So I hope you all are. I know you're all proud. We're proud of you.
Yeah, absolutely. We're all very proud.
first year this program started?
No.
No. Okay, but it's good. How much is it?
I was in the first program, so next.
So how much has it grown?
Oh, it's tremendous. I mean, Dr. Rubito really has made the foundation for this program too, but now, I mean, as a team, I think I can be as bold as to say we're a great combination because we really bring two different skill sets, but we also can now help a larger amount of students at once. They probably don't appreciate it, like during editing times when they get both of us and both of our feedbacks, but as far as the growth of the program, that's what's going to allow more students, and what's really important on our foundation for it, any student, any topic. So we don't come in and say, you must study this, we like this. No, it's what we really spend in our first year of the program delving into what's their interest, what's their passion, and drive their next 3 years of the program from there.
And even in the past 3 years, I think this program has grown so much. I mean, we started as sophomores in this program, and we start just by getting involved into the topics, looking into some things we want to potentially research. And then we start emailing PhD mentors, so people who are actually doing research in the fields. We start talking to them, and they start introducing us to feasible topics. And with the guidance of Dr. Vito and Dr. Forsberg, I mean, it takes off after there, and then you're set. So it's really good.
I believe that Egan mentioned this earlier, but last year we actually had our first student progress to round 2 of LICEF in the past 7 years of the Methods and Research program. And this year we had 3 people. So it's just a lot of growth that's happening in the program, and the program is just going to keep on growing with your support.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Well, you certainly do represent a wonderful part of us.
Yeah. It's great. For that, you can go home if you like to. So, you guys are, give me a couple minutes. Yeah, take your parents to dinner or vice versa or something.
Except for the bars are late. You stay another 20 minutes.
There you go, Tom.
Yeah. Yes.
That's awesome. Right. Have a good one, guys. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you. Best part of the day.
Well done.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Night.
Take care.
Okay.
Bye-bye. So we're gonna move on for our rest of our meeting here, and I'll go to the consent agenda. Can I have a motion for this consent agenda? Oh, that might take it out myself. All right, I'm sorry. Anybody here for public comment? LTV, do we have anybody for public comment?
We have no callers on the line.
Great, thank you very much. So then we'll go to the consent agenda. Can I have a motion to accept the consent agenda? Make it. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And we go on to the regular, the superintendent's report recommendations. And we'll begin with there's a lot of stuff on here today, so I'm gonna summarize some of it as we get down, because a lot of it has to do with the, we'll let Sam explain when we get there, but yeah, the capital reserve fund. And it's, Carrie left me with a really thick thing, and she's not here. So anyway, number one, recommended the board approve the following resolution. Resolve the Board of Education of the East Hampton Union Free School District pursuant to Rule 14 of the Suffolk County Civil Service Commission, and upon the recommendation of Superintendent of Schools, does hereby appoint Colette Birch to the position of Assistant School Transportation Supervisor for the probationary period of 12 weeks, commencing on July 1st, 2023, and to be paid at the annual salary based on $140,000. And be it further resolved that the board approve the contractual agreement between East Hampton Union Free School District and Colette First, Assistant School Transportation Supervisor for the period from July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2028, in accordance and terms set in condition and set forth in contractual agreement, and authorize the superintendent of schools to sign the contractual agreement. Have a motion?
Make a motion.
Second?
Second.
Discussion?
Colette's here, and
Thank you
we're
for
very
coming.
lucky to have an very experienced person in transportation to come succeed Joe Lapani. It's I've spent some time with Colette and she's a gem, and we're lucky we have her. She's an absolute expert in the field, and she's coming to East Hampton.
So thanks for coming to the meeting too. We really,
Thank
truly
you.
appreciate it.
It was great coming. I met all the principals and they're all fans, so I look forward to it. Thank you very much.
Great. Congratulations.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Congratulations if you would like to go.
You can
You
go.
certainly don't miss
Yeah.
a long time.
I would say he would like to leave.
Good way to put it.
Meet you all. Thank you.
Nice
so
to meet you.
much.
Thank you. Look forward to
So
working with you. Thank you. Number 2, recommended the board approve the following resolution, whereas Brittany Thompson was appointed to a 4-year probationary period as a secondary math teacher commencing August 29th, 2019, and whereas during her probationary period, Ms. Thompson was granted a child care leave, which included a total of 184 days of unpaid leave. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Ms. Thompson's probationary period be and is hereby extended from August 28th, 2023, for a period of 184 calendar days to December 22nd, 2023. Have a motion?
I make a motion.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Just an extension.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 3, recommend the board approve the following appointments for the 2022-23 school year, beginning with substitute nurse, Mary Jo Bennett, and down to John Marshall, lunch monitor. Can I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Pretty much standard stuff that we need, and thanks to Mary Jo. She's a local person. I think most people here know Mary Jo.
Is that Mary Jo DeGate?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Nippy DeGate was on the school board when I got.
Oh, really?
Oh, really?
That's funny. Did I get a motion?
Yes.
Yes.
I did. I got a second?
Second. All right.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 4, recommended the board approve the following contract agreements. And I'll start with A down through D, and it's all there if anybody wants to read it. Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Important things, district clerk and my secretary, Carrie Stevens, has decided to stay another 3 years, which is awesome, and everybody knows what Carrie does here, in the operations of this district. The last 2, the retreat, we are continuing our relationship with the retreat, forming more of an alliance with them, and it's helping them obtain a grant to kind of further our partnership. And the last thing is our continued use of the East Hampton Town and East Hampton Village fueling station for our buses for overflow fueling. The town and village could not be more accommodating, and I really, really appreciate the relationship that
Something
they've
that we
given us.
need.
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 5, recommend the board approve the following resolution. Resolve that the Board of Education of the East Hampton Union Free School District hereby approves the memorandum of agreement between East Hampton Union Free School District, School-Related Professionals Association dated March 21st, 2023, concerning the creation of a guard position in accordance with the terms and conditions set forth in said memorandum of agreement, and authorizes the President of the Board of Education to sign said agreement. Can I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Second?
Second.
We got a discussion?
It's, thank you to our SRPA, it's the movement of hiring and creating our own guard system in our school. So, long time coming.
Yep. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 6, recommend the board approve the following resolution. Resolved that the Board of Education of the East Hampton Union Free School District hereby approves a memorandum of agreement with the East Hampton Union Free School District, School-Related Professionals Association, and the employment known to the Board of Education concerning the repayment of certain wages in accordance with the terms and conditions set forth in said memorandum of agreement, and authorize the President of the Board of Education to sign said agreement. Can I have a motion?
Make the motion.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? Personnel can't. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 7, recommend that the board approve the following resolution. Resolve the board accept the first reading of the following amended policies, 1 through 6. Have a motion?
Make a motion.
Second.
Second? Discussion?
Recommendations from our attorneys, small touch-ups to voting nomination and elections, non-resident student, sorry. I just want to point out there's homeless, I think one of them is regarding homeless, absentee ballots. Again, just small tweaks, nothing, extensive. And again, they're just for the first reading anyway.
Yeah, and they have to be amended.
Yeah, yeah, there's no.
Recommendation of our attorney.
Yep.
Any discussion from the board? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 8, recommend the board approve the following resolution. Resolve that the Board of Education of the East Hampton Union Free School District hereby accepts 3 donations, two each in the amount of $200 and one in the amount of $500, or 3 donors known to the Board of Education to be used for cafeteria program for students with outstanding debt. I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Second. Besides, thank you.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Great. Thank you to those donors. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 9, recommend the board approve the following resolution. Resolve that the Board of Education of the East Hampton Union Free School District hereby similarly appoints the substitute teacher to additional positions of substitute teaching assistant and to substitute paraprofessional at the applicable rates for a pay of those positions for the remainder of the 2022-23 school year. Can I have a motion?
Make a motion. Second.
You want to explain?
It solves the problem. So when you hire a substitute teacher, it's a rate when they cover when they cover a class. Now it lets them cover others, so you pay the appropriate.
Okay.
It's not. It's just we're kind of fine tuning the resolutions.
Good.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Or 10?
So the next few
Yes.
are
10 through.
Very long.
They are the capital reserve motions that it will be the proposition through 14, and then I believe 15 it's on its own, and I can explain that after. But just so you know, yes.
So we're going to do a motion to accept 10 through 14. Can we do that?
You want to explain?
Let's do them individually.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
All right, number 10. Can I have a motion to accept item number 10?
I make a motion to accept it as written.
Second?
Second.
Discussion. Do you want to give a little highlight of each one?
You're proposing capital work before you can actually authorize the capital work project to go on the agenda. You need to declare through the secret law that there's no adverse environmental impact. We have, through our architect, Mike Guido, he has retained the services of VHB Engineering, which is a consulting firm. They've studied the project. We're not meeting any of the hallmarks along the way that would trigger a larger study. These are minor projects.
So it's a type 2.
These are type 2. Right.
Nothing to trigger a type 1, which is just a
And all these projects were previously discussed.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. And that's why, yeah. There's a lot of, it's all on our website if people want to read it, but it's just a lot of whereas, continues on and on for the same thing. So anybody from the board have a comment on number 10? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 11, can I have a motion for number 11?
I make a motion that we accept it as written.
Second. Discussion. Okay, these are the
Basically the
lockers.
same thing, right?
Yeah. And Charlie's getting the lockers that I've talked about, I think, every year for 10 years.
10 years,
Yeah.
probably, yeah.
So, which will be great. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 12. Have a motion to.
I make a motion, we accept it as written.
Second. Discussion. So this one is for what? now? Okay, so repaving the parking lot. In summary. Any-
Much needed.
Yes. Any further discussion from the board? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 13, I have a motion to accept number 13.
I make a recommendation that we accept it as written.
Second. Discussion? This one is for what now? This is for the
building
building
grounds.
Okay, which we talked about a lot.
Right, and also much needed and also way overdue.
Yes, I've talked about that one, I think, every year.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 14. I have a motion to accept number 14.
I make a motion that we accept it as written.
Second.
Second.
Discussion.
This is the resolution that'll be on the ballot.
Okay, perfect. Can I have all in favor? Any opposed? Number 15, when you separate, correctly, you're doing all separate. Anyway, you want me to read all 15?
You want to just explain what 15 is?
You can just make a motion. Second?
Second.
Wait, sorry, who had the motion?
Christina. And Sarah, right?
Well, we
Just
gave
do that,
Terry
duke it
another
out.
All right. I couldn't hear on some
Give it to
left.
Justine.
I turned my left ear off. Anyway,
So this is the same secret situation in this instance. So this is to have an additional fuel tank installed at our transportation facility. This doesn't have to go to the voters because this is being funded through the previously approved transportation bond. There's money left over because the project came in significantly under budget. We need that second tank. We need additional fuel capacity for our vehicles and for future expansion. So that's what this resolution is.
great. Any discussion from the board? All in favor? Opposed? Number 16, recommend the board approve the following budget transfers. That time of year.
Yes.
Can I have a motion?
I make it.
Second?
Second.
Discussion, Sam, do you want to comment? It's all pretty
I was
self-explanatory.
disappointed we read all the budget. So three major groups here. The first is as we explained when Greg Koval was here to talk about that his budget, the money that was appropriated for the electricity this year is just way under where we realistically need to be. So that's one of the big transfers here. We have a couple of things we have to take care of. And we've had some transfers in where people are best situated in the budget due to the state chart accounts, so we're moving salaries around to more accurately reflect what we're doing.
Right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So we're done with that. The new schools, we're kind of all over the place, so. There's this facility committee update, which we have.
Yeah, coming up, the 30th, I believe, facilities meeting is coming up. We'll discuss, as we said in the prior meeting, Mike Guido, our architect, was informed of the lights and the proposal that was made by a community member. We'll be discussing that, some of the logistics about that, and get that kind of ironed out, so we can bring it back to the board.
New business.
Board docs, we brought it up in the budget presentation. Kerry and I went through a long presentation from board docs. It took a while to convince Kerry that
We've been talking about this for a long time.
the system, and she finally was there. Training's gonna commence sometime in April. Kerry, myself, Sam's familiar with it, and one of the tech guys is gonna help out. So I'm very excited about that.
Sam, you've used it before,
Yes, I
right?
have.
Okay. And you like it?
Very much. It makes things very convenient. It becomes a repository for documents, so you don't have to stare and say.
Well, it's easier for us
It's
too.
easier for you too.
We
You
can
go
get
online.
a link.
Yeah, you go online, you can say, where's that document we passed 2 years ago? It's a search, I know it has something to do with transportation. You type in transportation, it shows you all the places. It's excellent.
Great. Good. Back to public comment. LTV, do we have anybody for public comment?
No, we have no callers.
Thank you very much. Anybody here? One that's left is pretty catastrophe here. Everything else, so we adjourn. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?